As we have this conversation taking place, there's now further tensions that are coming out of the Johannesburg CBD. That's where our reporter Zikhona Chona is this morning. We're going to take you to her. She's at Jeppestown. Zikhona, you've been watching the situation there all morning. We know that things escalated overnight. What is happening there now?
Right now, Kathy, I'm standing in the street that is separating the foreign nationals and the South African nationals. The South African nationals are on my left and the foreign nationals are on my right. We just had a standoff between the two parties here on the street, and police had to use rubber bullets to separate them. Police are still on the ground trying to separate the people, trying to make sure that they maintain the peace. There are police guarding this side on the left where the South African nationals are. There's police guarding on my right where the foreign nationals are. A lot of anger, Kathy, a lot of emotion going around here right now, Kathy. And police are also seemingly getting very frustrated with the people that are not willing to cooperate with them, not listening to them when they say, stay on this side and you stay on that side. They're also talking to us as journalists who are moving around this area, letting us take caution with what is happening around us.
Zikhona, as far as I understand, you're saying that you have locals on the one side, foreigners on the other, divided by a street. What are the exchanges that are taking place between the two parties currently?
A lot of language going on around here that can't be used on camera, Kathy. It's unfortunate that people have had to resort to such vulgar language and such use of violence when they're trying to interact with each other, when they're trying to fight, Kathy. Unfortunately, I can't say the things that they've been saying on camera, but I know that the South African nationals are saying they want them to go, and the foreigners are saying that they've been here for a very long time. They feel they have every right to be here. Kathy, if I can just tell you a very heartfelt story that I walked into right here. A woman whose car was burnt. She says she got a call at around 1 o'clock this morning, notifying her that her car had been burnt by the people that are attacking the foreign national shops. We know that there was a car dealership in front of me that had a lot of cars in them. The South African nationals took out the cars from the dealership and they burnt them on the road. The lady is in tears. She's saying she saved a lot of money to get that car. She didn't go home in December. She's from Mozambique. She didn't go home in December to save up for that car. And now eventually she was allowed to come fetch it from the dealership, and she found it on the ground. She's in tears, Kathy, if I can just tell you that heartfelt story that we walked into in these streets. We are trying to get those visuals to you as soon as we can, but things keep on happening here. Police keep on having to intervene when situations sort of heat up in the space where we are at.
Zikhona, overnight, the impression that has been created is that it's been particularly businesses that have been under threat. From what you're seeing on the ground now, is that still the case? Is it particularly businesses that are owned by foreign nationals that are still under threat?
There are businesses that are owned by foreign nationals that are under threat. Business here is actually closed, Kathy. We know that there's a factory that was burnt down earlier this morning. We're not sure who the owners of that factory are, but we know that South African nationals are accusing that factory of employing foreign nationals. If I can just turn to this side, just so you can get a sense of the police presence around me here. The police sort of controlling the situation right there behind me. And on this side, this is where the foreign nationals are located. This is where they're standing. And then to my left, then you'll normally see the South African nationals. So the altercation's really been happening on the street. The others saying, come, I'm ready for you. And the other ones also saying, I'm coming for you right now. And police have really had tried to maintain that situation successfully, if I can just say that, Kathy, using the rubber bullets. And they probably wouldn't have wanted to resort to that. But it's a situation that is very tense. The locals are also throwing stones, and they have sticks in their hands, sort of like ready for war. It's really tense and very volatile at this stage.
Zikhona, I mean, sooner or later, something has got to give. And from what you're seeing, what is it going to take to actually allow for a process of mediation to almost begin in order so that where the two parties can actually begin talking to each other about the issues that are being raised?
One would hope that this situation would calm down sooner rather than later, Kathy. But at this stage, I don't see it going calm anytime today. There's a lot of anger here. people have had their businesses burnt, so they're also very angry, and others are saying, these businesses are on our land, therefore you must go. They're also very angry. So no one is really willing to find a compromise to say, actually, you know what, we are human beings. We are human beings. We all belong to this continent. So let's sit down and talk about this. Each party is saying, I have every right to fight for what I'm fighting for. So therefore, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to stop at nothing. We've heard people saying things such as there'll be blood on these streets should the foreign nationals come back here. The foreign nationals really like fearing for their lives at this stage, but there is very high police guard around them to make sure that they are not attacked at this stage. We know that they're also here. They're trying to protect their businesses. Those gentlemen there, one of them owns a shop right here. He's trying to get his car from the parking bay there, but it's been blocked off by the South African nationals, and police have sort of cautioned him to stay on the side and stay calm, because nothing will happen to his car. But at this stage, he's very fearful because we've seen cars that are burnt in these streets, Kathy.
Zikona, part of the reaction that we've been seeing, particularly from foreign nationals in KZN, is that as they're under threat and being attacked by locals, they also now are saying that they're going to take up arms as a way of defending themselves. Are you getting a similar sentiment from those in the Johannesburg CBD this morning?
We are getting that sense, but nothing has really taken off, which is very fortunate, Kathy. But as you can imagine, when your business has been burnt, when you are fearing that the business that is currently standing of yours could potentially be burnt, you are very angry. And they're saying that they've been living in South Africa for a very long time. And they've been living with people from here, interacting with them, working with them. Some have been having relationships with them. So they don't really understand what triggered this anger. So at this stage, they're keeping calm on this side, trying very much to listen to the police, which I really do applaud them for, because every time police walk up to them and say, keep calm, stick to your side, they do as the police say. So I think that's doing a lot to keep the calm in this community, because the police are very vigilant. They're constantly patrolling these streets, making sure that everyone stays where they are ought to stay. If I can just flip behind me, I don't know if you can see the action, please, trying to make sure that those people don't turn into any violent situation. Because that's what's been happening. They come up in different streets in this community. They'll come up from different streets and they will try and do whatever they can to intimidate the foreign nationals from whichever corner they can. And police are really keeping a guard on that situation. I'm walking towards that situation. I don't know if you can see the police are now using rubber bullets to disperse that crowd that's come up from that corner.
Zikona, are there any concerns from police at this stage that part of this violence could actually break out into different parts of the Johannesburg CBD? Of course, earlier on in the week, we saw businesses close to the South Gauteng High Court shut their doors along Small Street, where we have a lot of foreigners who do business. They also shut their doors. Are there fears that it might spiral?
I think the focus right now, Kathy, is to keep this situation calm. Police are really saying they want to make sure that these people don't move out of here, because they're very steadfast in what they want to pursue. So they want to make sure that they keep these people here so that they don't move into other areas and sort of influence other people. But that, of course, anything can happen at this stage. As you know, we weren't expecting the xenophobic violence to come to Gauteng, but they have come here. So really, we don't really know what to expect. I think police are share that sentiment. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what the people are capable of at this stage. So I think everyone must just be cautious and just, I don't know, expect whatever comes their way.
Zikona, I'm watching in your background just a truck from the Johannesburg Emergency Services, firefighters there. Have they been able to distinguish the fires that took place overnight, particularly in the factory? And have you seen a difference perhaps in the number of officials that have been deployed to Jeppestown since you've been there?
The fires have all been put out, Kathy. We know that there was a factory down the road that was satellite. That's been successfully put out. There were cars on the road that were satellite. Those have also been successfully put out. I think the track is just here now for security measure, because really you don't know what these people are capable of doing at this stage, Kathy. I think we've been seeing more and more law enforcement coming to this area. More and more police are coming here to keep guard, to contain the situation, because really we don't know what to expect. As I said earlier, people keep on creeping up in corners where police don't seem to be expecting them to come from, and then they are forced to use rubber bullets to disperse the crowds.
All right. Our reporter, Zikona Chona, she's standing by in the Johannesburg CBD at Jeppestown, of course, giving us an update on the situation.